Shalom. First and foremost, before I get started, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai Bahashim Bracha HaKwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and rule well. Peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect, pushing his word throughout the four corners of the earth in truth, righteousness, and sincerity. To you I say Shalom. This is the brother Yeshaya coming at you again through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. And in this video, I'm going to entitle it MOTB through enticement. Okay, MOTB through enticement. And I got a video I want to put on, and then an article I want to read, and then we'll get some precepts. And Lord willing, this be an edifying lesson. But I'm going to go ahead and play this, and we'll move on from there.
Implanting computer chips into your brain could soon be the next frontier in the tech race between China and the US. Brain-computer interfaces translate brain activity to operate computers, prosthetics, and even machinery. These brain-implanted chips could change lives. But why is brain tech so important to global superpowers? Well, it's about innovation, and of course it's about money and economic power. China sees brain tech as a national priority. It is part of its long-term innovation strategy, which also includes AI, healthcare, and military tech. All of this could be a big boost to the world's second largest economy. The BCI market is expected to grow from about $3 billion today to over $12 billion by 2034. US company Synchron, whose investors include billionaires Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates, is currently the global leader in terms of human trials with 10 patients. Elon Musk's Neuralink currently has 5 people with its brain implant. Just like the Chinese Institute for Brain Research in Beijing, where doctors recently implanted a chip called BNow1. A patient typed, "I want to eat," using brain signals. Next year, China plans to implant a further 50 to 100 chips. That would put it ahead of the US and closer to commercialization. But as technology develops, new questions come up. If we can control our minds with computer chips, how can we prevent abuses of such powerful technology? And are we ready for a world where machines don't just read our fingerprints and faces, but also our minds?
All right. So let me get from here. Let me get this article. This is from medicalpress.com. It says brain-computer interface decodes Mandarin from neural signals in real time. So as you saw in the video, you have US, you have China, which are the two main, at least that's how they put it, pretty much the two main competitors in this whole BCI, MOTB, chipping of the brain or whatever, right? The hand, but pretty much mainly the brain, particularly in this thing, because we're in this video article, because that's pretty much what they're trying to tap into. They're trying to tap into your body, they're trying to tap into your mind, your brain, your soul, your spirit. That's essentially what Esau is trying to do with this brain chip, brain chip, right? Which is just a alternate form of the MOTB. You have the one that can go in the hand, either hand, or the one that goes in the brain. But these are all methods that's going to be used in this so-called NWO, this new world order that Esau is trying to implement, where everybody is going to be chipped up, everybody's going to be a part of some database where a digital ID and really everything, is going to start becoming digitized, you know what I'm saying? And where you're going to need a chip in order to interface with this new society, right? Or interact with the society, I should say. But, with this, MOTB being new tech, you have some people that's skeptical about it. But Esau, being the serpent that he is, the devil, coming with his lies and also his subtlety, he's able to entice people into accepting this thing. And this is all, him doing this is just a campaign of him enticing people to pretty much take this, right? Because you have certain things that they promote, like convenience. You don't have to carry your wallet, you don't have to carry your keys, you don't have to carry nothing on you. Even what's the name? Bill Gates talked about, replacing the phone through a hand device that is implanted inside your hand, something like that. So you know where this is going. You know what I'm saying? Everything being integrated in you, under your skin. That's essentially where things is headed. Transhumanism, right? But like I said, he's doing all this through different forms of enticement. Like this one right here, it says brain-computer interface decodes Mandarin from neural signals in real time. So this is just, his lying wonders. You know, as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and get that. Then I'm gonna read this article. Um, what's that? Second Thessalonians. Yeah, Second Thessalonians 2. Let me see. Let me start at. I'll start at verse 8. It says, "And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming." So, this wicked is a wicked group of people, they are called the wicked, which are the Edomites, on the planet Earth. But they will go out and do these things, set up the world, um, or pretty much lead the world into this new world order, so to speak, where everybody's going to be, have an implant in their head or in their hand, right? But it says, shall consume the spirit, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, which is by the way of the prophets, right? Him being rebuked and exposed by this word. But it says, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. That's going to be when our Lord Yahweh shall returns and destroys him, takes him out of power. But it says, verse 9, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. So it says coming after the working of Satan. So he's coming to do the work of Satan. Satan and Esau they both go hand in hand. Esau is a physical counterpart of Satan, that does the will and the bidding of Satan. These top elite best believe they're communicating with Satan and getting a lot of their counsel from him. But it says, with all power and signs and lying wonders. And this is one of his lying wonders, this MOTB. Him over here bringing this out with his, saying that you can do all these things with this tech, new innovative tech. You can walk again, you can see again, you can talk in different languages, you can communicate with somebody, that's crossing the other side of the world like a phone call. There's various things. You got the metaverse, all this shit, So Esau is really using that form of his really his smooth words, to entice people into taking this thing, right? Because ultimately, like I said, we understand that that's where he's headed. Let me get this. Revelation 13, verse 16. It says, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead." So he causeth all. He's going to cause, or he's going to require everybody to take this thing. At first, it's going to be through, like I said, that enticement, right? Through convenience, through persuasion. But then it's going to be through force, that if you don't take this, you ain't going to be part of the grid. You ain't going to partake in our society that we're creating, which is going to be the only society that's going to be functioning, according to Esau. Because if you're outside of his grid or outside of his society, they're really, Esau has made this world a wilderness to where you can't really operate outside of his, his system, outside of the structure that he has created. He polluted the world. He's destroyed the water. He's destroyed the air. He destroyed the plants. So now, if you want to live, you're gonna have to abide by what he says, right? But we understand, the scriptures talk about how the elect or the remnant shall no longer lean upon him that smote them, you know, meaning that the Most High is going to provide a way for the elect, the remnant, to eat, Isaiah 65 and 13, right? He's going to provide, the Most High is going to provide a way for the elect to eat, to drink, you know what I'm saying, to be merry, right? To rejoice. So we don't got to worry about that. All we got to do is stick to the point and stick to the script and not take this thing. not take this MOTB, right? And that's ultimately what's going on is a spiritual war. And Esau is using your flesh to fight against you. He's enticing you. He's trying to persuade you in that his way is a better way. You know, he's trying to uh, uh, um, shift you from the right path. You know, but let me continue reading this. It says, verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Right? You ain't gonna be able to operate in society. Buy groceries, go to work. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things is gonna be you're gonna be barred from if you don't take this thing. You know, you're already seeing it with the what's it called, digital ID over there in the UK. You know, and we're gonna start seeing it next year. I believe this says it's gonna take place. So we're gonna see the outcome of this, how things is gonna result, different laws that's gonna be implemented, legislation that's gonna be enacted, right? But as the prophet's been telling you, this is the thing that's pretty much coming to the wire, man. We're coming to that point where the, the hour of temptation is here, man. Right? We're already in Jacob's trouble. All we need is things to ramp up a little bit more, and then you can just pull this out and say, oh, this is what you gotta do if you want to go back to normalcy. If you want to be a citizen, if you want to partake in our booming economy and all this and that, you're gonna have to take this thing, right? You want to go back to the old world, to the way you used to live, you gotta take this thing. That's ultimately what it's gonna come down to. That's why it's called the hour of temptation, right? Because while everybody's out here, their faith is being tested, even the elect's faith is gonna get tested. But we understand the elect are gonna endure, right? But with everybody else, who don't have no solid foundation, they're gonna take this thing. They're gonna be enticed. They're gonna be taken, right? So now, let me go ahead and, as a matter of fact, I know I said I was gonna read this article. Let me go back to it. Let me read just a little bit, and then we'll get the precepts because Spirit already wants me to go into the precepts. So let me read this. This is researchers in Shanghai have reported in a study recently published in Science Advances that they've successfully decoded Mandarin Chinese language in real time with the help of a brain-computer interface (BCI) framework, a first for BCIs working with tonal languages. So in real time, this thing is translating the Mandarin language, right? Chinese language, right? But it says the participant involved in the study was also capable of controlling a robotic arm and digital avatar and interacting with the large language model using this new system. So this is, like I said, the lying wonders, man. And China is the blueprint that America is really wanting to emulate, right? And really all around the world, the whole world is looking at China as being that role, as that model of society, right? With the social credit score, with um, these strict rules, these draconian laws and shit, that they're putting in place. America is about to take that step, take that leap. You're already seeing it happen, like I said, with the UK with the digital ID. Well, that soon is going to transition over here as well, where social credit score is going to be applied here. Your carbon footprint is going to be traced. You understand? This has major implications, to your everyday life, to where you're going to be monitored, tracked, and traced. That's ultimately how Esau wants it. But like I said, he's enticing people to take these things and making it seem like it's good for you. But ultimately, what he's doing is he's waging war against your spirit. As a matter of fact, let's get this in Psalms. Psalms 55 and 21. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words are softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. So everything this man pushes is for him to gain power, influence, control, all of which is granted to those who win wars, right? So the war that he's waging is for your soul. He doesn't he uh uh he does it in a very subtle and pretty much sneaky way, man, to where he convinces a lot of people to fall into his traps. Right? As a matter of fact, Genesis 3 and 1. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua had made. You see? When you read this in the NLT, it says the serpent was the shrewdest of all the wild animals that Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua had made. The shrewdest. So let me get this word for subtile. Let me see what it says here. Subtile, right? It says arawam, arawam, or aram. It says subtile, shrewd, crafty, sly, sensible, crafty. This man is crafty, right? This man, as the scripture says, how's it go? Talking about he accomplishes a diligent search and his heart is deep. So this man does tests, man. He runs certain certain tests like in his labs to um, to predict human behavior, to whatever it might be, you know what I'm saying? But he does social experiments as well to see how the people will react to certain of his ideas or certain of his plans, you know? So this is why this man is subtile. This is why this man is a serpent. This is just in his nature to be like this, you know? So his war tactics or through being subtile, you know, being shrewd, right? And like I said, this is and ultimately, we're in a battle. We're in a spiritual battle. Even though it might seem carnal, we understand this is all spiritual. This is 2 Corinthians 10, and I'm sorry, 3. It says, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds. Hold on. Is this it? This one I wanted? Let me read this in the NLT. It says, we are human, but we do not wage war as humans do. We use the Most High's mighty weapons, not worldly weapons, to knock down the strongholds of human reasoning and to destroy false arguments. So this truth is our defense towards Esau's schemes, Esau's plots, Esau's plans, right? Because it tells us ahead of time and it gives us a warning of what to look out for, right? Because if we didn't have this truth, we'll be easily enticed through Esau's schemes, Esau's lies and deception, right? But now that we have the truth, this is a defense and a barrier for us, and it gives us an insight of Esau's plans. You see? But this is all a spiritual war at the end of the day. As a matter of fact, let me see. There's wickedness in high. That's the one I wanted. Right here. Ephesians 6 and 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Again, it's all spiritual at the end of the day. Esau is coming at it, physical, but even he knows that this is a spiritual war. But he can't beat us spiritually because he's not a spiritual man. So he's using what he's got. He's just using his carnal means to try to bottleneck us, an attempt to bottleneck us into taking the MOTB, right? Because Esau has, certain sayings, you control the food, you control the people, order app KO, what's it called? Hegelian dialectic, all these things, methods of forcing things on people, and but we understand that this ain't going to work for the elect, right? But it is working on the masses, as we see. So let me get this. Ecclesiastes, oh, Salakia, Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach, 14 and verse 7. It says, if he doeth anything good, or if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly. And at the last he would declare his wickedness. So if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly. Meaning he doesn't care about paralyzed people. He doesn't care about you know people that travel being able to speak different languages. He doesn't care if you got your sight back. He doesn't care if you're able to if you lose your wallet and get this chip so you won't lose your wallet. He doesn't care about none of that, right? All he cares about is his own means, his own uh, 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 agenda, which is control, power, dominance, right? But he uses his trickery, his lies to try to convince people into telling them that everything's going to be good. Take this and you'll be good. You'll be okay. You'll be better off with this. Just like how he did in the garden with Eve, right? Told her to eat of the fruit, partake in this, and you'll be good. You'll be as a god. You'll be better, right? The same thing with now. He's telling people y'all won't be like cybernetic gods in a way. You can be able to communicate. You can be superior than the average human. You see, but that's not the case, as we know. The scriptures talk about how grievous sores fell upon them, pretty much that took the mark. See, there's a lot of testing and science that Esau understands, but he's not telling the public. Especially once they activate this 5G or 6G that they're trying to implement now, people that have these CHIPs, they're gonna start growing tumors, because your body rejects anything that's foreign. You see, this is the reason why people that get like certain things in their body, certain devices, what's it called? I forgot what it's called, but like a catheter or something you put in your heart, a heart pacer. These people need to take a certain medicine daily, otherwise their body will reject that device. In the same sense with the C-hip and the brain C-hip, right? Certain people are going to be stuck on certain medications, and then even then it ain't going to work because then you're going to have the 6G or whatever is going to turn on, right? It's going to make you into an actual what's it called? A power receptor, right? And these devices, they send frequencies, right? You already have your phone, and there's certain tests you can look up on YouTube. Certain tests on the phone that you put it on the ground, and ants will go around it because there's so much radiation that it emanates that the ants won't even go near it. Right? It's a lot of things, man. There's a lot of things to this. Esau, he's got that, as the scripture says, his heart is deep. So he has a knowledge of all this, but he's not telling people, right? He's just giving you the good. He's just giving you the just like he did with Eve. He told her she would not surely die, but what happened? Right? So let me get this. Proverbs 12 and 26. It says, the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduces them. You see? So let me read this in the NLT. It says, the godly give good advice to their friends. The wicked lead them astray. You see? So it says, the way of the wicked seduces them. This is in the King James. So let me see what it says in the interlinear. Seduces them. It says to be made to wander about, to be made to stagger, drunkard, to lead astray, to cause to wander. Right, and that's ultimately the what Esau does. He leads our people astray. He leads our people into the wrong path, right? And it's all through enticement. Esau understands that Jake, um, has been downtrodden. Jake has pretty much has no hope. So Esau steps in and tries to give you, some good words. Like it says, his words are smoother than butter. You know, but what? But war was in his heart. Tries to give you, a little glimmer of hope, telling you to join him, and and he'll give you all the riches. He'll make you rich. He'll make you, stronger or whatever. But it always backfires. It never turns out good for those who side with Esau or who sell out. And by you taking the seed is a form of you selling out. You chose to side with the devil. This MOTB is a digital awl, man. In the ancient times, when you look it up, an awl was used to, uh, um, was you'll stab it in your ear, or the owner of the slave will stab it in the ear to mark that this man has decided to serve his master perpetually till he dies. And in a sense, if you take the C-hip, you are pretty much marking yourself, or you're pretty much saying that Esau is your master. You belong to Esau, right? Because who knows what that whole thing does to your DNA, the C-hip, all these frequencies and stuff. Who knows what that does to the DNA? You had the what's it called? The Jabberwocky talking about how that shit ended up changing people's DNA. Now these people are patented by the whatever organization, and now you're not classified as a human. Now you're classified as whatever you know GMO, genetically modified organism that they created, right? But anyway, let's see. Let me get this. Let me get this. Habakkuk 2 and verse 5, because, like I said, this man, even though he has the whole world in his hands and he has everything to his disposal, enough is never enough for this man. Right here it is. He's got the power. He can print all the money in the world. He's got all the resources. How much does he want? No, he wants everything. He wants your soul. He wants your spirit. He wants your mind. Right? But this is Habakkuk 2 and verse 5. It says, Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. Neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Right? So the whole, like I said, enough is never enough for him. This man can never be satisfied. This man's already looking into the cosmos of different planets that he's looking to inhabit. Even though he's already destroying this one, he can't even manage this one. He's already thinking about going further. Right? So this man has to be stopped. Right? This man's ways has destroyed everything, and is going to continue to destroy people. That's the reason why in the scriptures it says, if the Most High had not spit up the time, there shall no flesh be saved. 15 to 20 years from now, it's going to be cyber. I mean, if the Most High would allow it to continue, which, I pray that he doesn't. And I don't, he won't. The scriptures talk about how, you know, uh, this man is not going to accomplish his enterprise. So, but in Esau's mind, if he were to continue on, there really would be almost little to no life left. He's already waging war with the bees. He's waging war with the plant life. He's waging war with human life. This man is anti-life. He wants everything to be synthetic, everything to be artificial, everything to be designed the way he wants it to be designed. Which, as we see, it's all a major failure, man. It's all a major fail. But this is all the rebellion, or this is all his rebellion against the Lord. You see. But anyway, that was pretty much it. That was pretty much it on this. That's pretty much all I had. But I pray this lesson was edifying. I'm going to go ahead and close it out by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Racha HaKodash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and rule well. Peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect, pushing his word throughout the four corners of the earth in truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Until the next time, I'm going to say Shalom, Kwam Masha Allah.